Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Coming up, did these tuition protesters do any good? Apparently not. We have the latest.
Plus, the Occupy Chapel Hill movement used to look like this, but now only these tents remain, and the people using them are breaking the law.
In sports, we'll preview the basketball team's showdown with upstart rival NC State.
And a musical twist on the movies.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the James F. Goodman Studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, connecting campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Tuition here at UNC is going up. The only question is, how much? Good evening, I'm Kathleen Whitty.
And I'm Preston Jones. Tonight, we have Carolina Week team coverage as we explore all the tuition possibilities.
We have a series of reports on how much, what if, and the terrific value this place is, even if tuition does go up.
But first, let's dig a little bit deeper into how much you could be paying next year.
Junior Shrika Campbell says it's something that haunts her daily.
It is daunting because you want to go out into the world and think I can do anything. I can go to grad school. I can do whatever I want to do. But realistically, I have this debt to pay back.
A debt that will reach an upward of $60,000 by her graduation. And that's only if tuition stays the same. The Board of Trustees wants a 15.6% increase next year. While the Board of Governors met in November and earlier this month, they still haven't made a decision.
So what has changed since November? This report outlines an increase over the next 4 years, another one for just 2. One proposal wants a 15.6% increase, another one for just 6%. It is clear it's all still very much up in the air.
Student protesters have shown they're against any increase. And student body president Mary Cooper wants to keep increases small.
That it's incredibly important that students know what's going on and they've had a chance to say what they think.
So the only clear change since the November proposals, UNC System President Tom Ross has now said he won't support a tuition increase for more than 10%. In the meantime, students like Shrika Campbell are left wondering if coming to Carolina really was the best decision.
Being baited with that first year price versus what I would be paying the next years, I would really think about it differently if I would have known this is what it was going to be. At the end of the day, it's about dollars and cents.
Today, Tom Ross announced he wants an 8.8% average increase across the entire UNC system. The Board of Governors will decide on a final tuition increase at their meeting in February. And of course, we'll bring you reaction and all the details here on Carolina Week. So the university needs money. That's why tuition is such a big deal right now. So wouldn't it make sense to admit more out-of-state students? The students that pay almost 4 times more than in-state students. It could mean millions. Alana Austin finds out if that's even a possibility.
That it's incredibly important that students know what's going on and they've had a chance to say what they think.
That's UNC senior Mary Cooper. She's the student body president, but she's not from around here. Cooper's from Nashville, making her one of the 18% of out-of-state students on campus. Although Cooper says she's grateful for her education and the friends she's made here, she felt a little out of place at first.
My first year here, I was down in Parker dorm, and most of my floor, I felt like everyone was from Raleigh or Charlotte. And I remember calling my mom one day and saying, Mom, I need to go someplace else.
There may be fewer of them, but out-of-state students spend more money to come to UNC. When it comes to tuition and fees, in-state students pay about $7,000 a year, while it costs students like Cooper nearly $27,000. You'd think with the budget shortfalls, the university might be considering an increase in the number of out-of-state students. But that doesn't seem to be the case, at least not right now.
It might be inevitable, specifically for Chapel Hill, but you just kind of have to wait the political tide for that to happen.
1986, UNC increased the percentage of non-resident students to 18%, up from 15%. There's been reluctance to go any higher. Associate Director of Admissions, Andrea Felder.
Those who live within the state of North Carolina pay taxes that help contribute to the well-being of the university. So I think that having a majority of our students from North Carolina certainly plays well to those who live here in the state and who have a strong commitment, longstanding appreciation of the value of higher education.
UNC System President Tom Ross agrees and says now is not the time for changes.
We've been through such huge change as a university, as a state, as a society, as a world, in the last 4 years that no one has the stomach to change much of anything right now.
But costs for North Carolina students have been going up and up. And wouldn't taking in more out-of-state students make up for the budget deficit?
The marginal difference in terms of additional revenue is not terribly significant.
If UNC raised the cap to 30%, the university would earn an additional $44 million a year. UNC's budget is more than $2 billion, and Cooper thinks it is possible to strike more of a balance.
We should work on maybe talking about increasing it a little bit by little bit to make sure that we maintain who we are as a university, but also recognize that this could be one of the potential solutions to the budget shortfalls that we've been having.
Tuition has been the dominant issue of Cooper's term. Officials will announce the new tuition increases just as she leaves office. In Chapel Hill, I'm Alana Austin, Carolina Week.
Now, with all this talk of tuition hikes, we need to keep in mind that UNC is the best deal in the country, and that may remain the case even when tuition goes up. Ross Maloney joins us with more.
Well, Kathleen, that's what the experts at Kiplinger say. For the 11th year in a row, UNC has been ranked America's best value in higher education. Junior biology major Casey Smith is already deep into her classwork for the new semester. But this Seagrove, North Carolina native says she won't be deep into debt once she leaves Carolina. Smith says she faced a tough choice between coming to UNC or Duke.
I had to decide, like, overall which was the best value for, like, my money, for my parents, like, what would work, like, the best within their budget.
Smith thinks she made the right decision. Kiplinger magazine ranks UNC as the #1 value in American higher education. According to UNC's Office of Scholarship and Student Aid, the average in-state cost, all included, is just over $20,600 this year. Compare that to the University of Virginia or Duke. Smith says she felt the extra money for Duke wasn't worth it.
I just couldn't justify spending that much more money going to another school that was offering practically the same thing in my eyes.
Senior Cody Lee leads tours for students and parents. She says a lot of people are surprised by how much of a steal UNC is.
In fact, when I rattle off some of the tuition prices on tours, people's jaws drop. So it's a really neat feeling to be able to share that.
Lee said more often, it's the out-of-staters who are unaware of the value. Kiplinger also rates UNC as the #1 value to out-of-state students. Dana Murphy brought her 17-year-old son Daniel all the way from Cleveland. Murphy says she's pleasantly surprised at how affordable the school is. With everything included, the Murphys would pay about $45,000 a year to send Daniel to UNC.
We were very impressed with how competitive the school is. I think it's a good value for the money. It's a good size for the school. It's a beautiful campus.
So, if Casey Smith were in the Murphy shoes, would she do it all again? She says, absolutely. Reporting from the nation's best value in higher education, 11 years strong, I'm Ross Maloney, Carolina Week.
If you want your gripes or complaints to be heard about tuition or anything else on campus, you now have a direct connection to student government. The Fix My Campus program started this week, and it allows you to anonymously text, tweet, or email student government about any concern you may have on campus. You can go to our website, carolinaweek.org, for more information on just how to do this. You may have noticed a bright yellow poster in your classroom. Well, that's the newest part of the Alert Carolina system. Last September, the sirens and text messages alerted the campus community of a tornado, but there was a problem. No one knew what to do. And now these posters are supposed to help. They outline procedures for emergency situations. For example, if you hear a siren, all classroom and campus activities should stop. You should remain inside your classroom or another safe place. Follow instructions from the emergency responders or university officials, and watch for online or text message updates. And finally, wait for that all clear siren.
Another change on campus brings more dance space to students. 2 dance studios have opened in the Woolen Gym basement as part of a $5 million renovation. Mirrors, dance bars, better floors, and built-in sound systems make these studios stand out. Dance groups have already snatched up all the time slots for the semester, but Campus Rec will hold a lottery later this spring to reserve the space for next fall. Changes in campus technology underway too. First, it was webmail to HealMail, then Blackboard to Sakai. Now we're changing Wi-Fi networks. Right now, UNC has 2 password-protected networks. Next year, you'll be forced to use only the UNC Secure Network. UNC-1 will go away by the end of next year. If you haven't started using UNC Secure already, you'll be required to download a program on the ITS website or take your computer into ITS. The change comes to improve security.
You can now check out a Kindle at the Chapel Hill Public Library, already preloaded with popular books. And the machines are a hit. 64 people are already on the waiting list to check one out. On campus, UNC students can check out iPads from the Media Resources Center in the bottom of the UL, and UNC staff can check out Kindles from Davis Library. A plan for Kindle rentals for students is in the works. Apple is also jumping on the e-reader train, and it has 3 new apps targeting college students. The most popular is a free app called iBooks 2. With this app, you can download books from the iBookstore right onto your iPad. Apple teamed up with 3 big-name textbook publishers to offer the books. The new app is part of Apple's push to get iPads in the classroom, just like it got Mac computers in labs like this one 30 years ago. Well, it looks like student body election season is in full swing.
Yeah, last night was the first mandatory meeting for candidates, and we got the first look at those interested in running for president. Sydney Swafford joins us live in the Reese newsroom with more on the candidates. Sydney?
Thanks, Preston. Last night, 7 student body president hopefuls declared candidacy for this year's race. That's almost twice the number that ran last year. Let's take a look at who they are. Nico Garces, majoring in interpersonal and organizational communications studies. Calvin Lewis, a peace, war, and defense major. Lee Fairley, double majoring in sociology and political science. Brian Min, psychology and women's studies. Tim Longest, doubling in economics and philosophy. Will Lymanstall, environmental studies and geography. And Warshay Downing, public policy. This year, all of the candidates are juniors. They have 1 week to collect 1,250 signatures to make it to the ballot. Now that means for all 7 to make it to the race, nearly 9,000 students must sign a petition. That's almost 2,000 more signatures than last year's 4 candidates had combined. For all your election coverage, visit our partners here in the digital newsroom at reesenews.org.
All right, that's Sydney Swafford live in the Reese News digital newsroom. Sydney, thank you.
And next, this man says he's ready to be dragged to jail if need be. The latest on the Occupy Chapel Hill movement coming up.
You ever think about buying a bigger place? Just waiting for a visit from the credit fairy. There is no credit fairy. How else will I get a better credit score? Look, you keep your credit card balances low and only open a new card if you really need it. No fairy?
There's no magic to improving your credit, but there's help, and it's free. Go to creditfairy.org.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them. Beat them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad
One more
today.
time. All those boys are much too much. Those boys.
One question that I keep getting is, what are you doing once you graduate? Which is really a great question, Kathleen.
It is, and believe me, I get it way too often, but apparently we should be worried. National estimates say that 1.7 million grads will flood the labor market come May, but there is hope. Emma Vogelsinger has the story.
Be a lawyer.
I always like to argue with people, and I'm really hard-headed, and it's something I kind of always felt I would be good at.
So she picked up a double major in political science and English, but now things have changed.
It seemed like it would take a lot of time for something, and a lot of money for something that I was starting to question if I really wanted to do it or not.
Now, like many UNC seniors, she's interviewing for a position with Teach for America. But what if that doesn't pan out?
Outside of that, really not many backup plans. There's not a lot of options, really.
And to many seniors, it might feel that way, but landing your first job is closer than you might think.
What you may not know is here at Haynes Hall, the university's career services is just through these doors. And right up here to the second floor.
Ray Engel is the director at UCS, and he says there are certain qualities of a highly employable student regardless of their major.
You need to know how to interview really, really well.
And fortunately, UCS offers workshops for just that. Today, students are interviewing each other and getting helpful feedback.
Tell me about the situation when you went to bar and beyond what was expected.
Engel recommends exhausting UCS's resources while you still can.
So come see us, stay positive, and start doing something now.
So planning, preparation, and good communication skills are key, if you have a plan. As for Carly,
at the end of the day, I'd rather spend 4 years doing something I would enjoy other than trying to gear it all to get a job, because I'll land somewhere and do something. It just might take longer.
Reporting in Chapel Hill, Emma Vogelsinger, Carolina Week.
Well, but backing up to before you graduate, upperclassmen and graduate students who want to live off campus may soon have another living option. Builders of a new apartment complex are seeking the okay from the Chapel Hill Town Council. If approved, builder for Shortbread Lofts, a 7-story apartment complex, could start construction as soon as this spring. Some Chapel Hill Town Council members argue that the complex's steel and concrete composition and industrial appearance may not be right for Chapel Hill's small town aesthetic. The Shortbread Lofts development team hopes an amended plan will be approved next month.
We'll have to wait another week to see if the Town Council will fund an outside investigation of the raid on the old Yates building. This decision comes after a 3-hour meeting on Monday where Council decided it needed another week to make a decision. This was the scene at the Yates Motor Company back in November. Police, armed with assault rifles, raided the abandoned building to clear it of occupied protesters. After outcries from protesters and other community members, the Community Policing Advisory Committee requested an outside investigation on how police handled the raid. The council will make a final decision later this month. As for the members of Occupy Chapel Hill, many of them have moved on. All but 2, that is, and officials say occupying the space in front of the post office won't be as easy next time around. Reporter Patrick Wright has that story.
4 weeks ago, you could have gotten lost in this maze of tents outside the post office. Well, today, this is the only visible sign of Occupy Chapel Hill. And these men aren't leaving.
Yeah, it's me and him. These are his 2 tents. That's mine.
That's Colin. He and his fellow camper Will asked me not to disclose their last names. Their solo campaign started with Will, who refused to move his tent after occupiers packed up January 10th.
He stuck his ground despite the organizers' pleas because he didn't want to leave.
But if they stay, they're breaking the law. The town has been looking the other way so far.
Obviously, we're sympathetic to their reason for wanting to protest. You know, we have a long history in this town of working with groups like the Occupy group.
But one town official wants that to change. In a January 18th memorandum, town manager Roger Stancil called for officials to enforce the law. That has protesters upset particularly about the ordinance which makes it illegal for 15 or more people to gather on a sidewalk or in a parking lot. That means meetings like this one at the post office would be considered illegal.
Our main concern is that the town manager pretty much says he gets to decide whether they're enforced or not. Those laws don't even need to exist.
The group plans to protest the memorandum right here in front of the post office Sunday. And if we know anything about this group of occupiers, well, they aren't going down without a fight.
I'm willing to be dragged down the street by the police. People can say what they want. I have to do what comes from my heart.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Patrick Wright, Carolina Week.
Occupy's demonstration will be Sunday at 2 p.m. in the Peace and Justice Plaza, right in front of the downtown post office. Coming up next, we've got your weather forecast. Will we be able to continue enjoying the warmer temperatures and the sunshine? That's after the break.
The Uncle Johannes, Eisenbahns make you grow up smart and successful so you can be a doctor, lawyer, handsome genius composer. Like me.
Feed your kids the arts. Visit AmericansForTheArts.org. Treat your family to Van Gogurt, packed with live and active culture to boost kids' math and reading skills.
It's sure to satisfy your hunger for inspiration.
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
I don't even have a cell phone.
millions of kids are using their energy wisely. What's your excuse?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm meteorologist Tom Miners, and you probably got to enjoy that weather out there today. I know I wore shorts and rainbow sandals even. But we're going to see that mild weather continue as it arrives, and even to this weekend, we're going to see some rain come into play. We're going to see some rain showers tomorrow afternoon into early Friday morning. But also we're going to see some sun come into play as well. We're going to see some sun on the horizon, so that is some good news for our weather. Now I want to bring your attention to this almanac that I've collected for the month of January. Even though it's not over, we still want to take a look and see where we're at and why we're having such warm weather. If you take a note here, this is what the average is, and this is what the normal is usually for the high temperature for the day and for the low for the month, actually. Then for this month, January 2012, we can see that we're at 54.2 for the average high and 34.2 for the average low. But the records are much higher than that. So we're somewhere in between the record value and what's average. Even though it is a mild January, we didn't expect it is going to be a little bit warmer. So as we take a look at the radar and seeing what else is out normal, we're seeing lots of tornadic activity down here in the southern plains, and that's going to be coming into our area, but we're not going to see some severe weather. We're going to see some rain come into our area, and we're going to start seeing some rain, especially into tomorrow.
All right, well, we're having some technical difficulties, but we will bring you the weather coming up after the break.
Coming home can be hard if you're a veteran of Iraq or Afghanistan. You may feel like you're all alone, but you're not alone. At IAVA.org, your fellow vets are all around you. Join our free online community, get the resources you need, and connect to other vets who know where you're coming from. IAVA.org. We've got your back.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Andy Reeves. The men's basketball team will play NC State Thursday night, and for the first time in a long time, it will have a meaningful impact on the ACC standings. Believe it or not, these teams are tied with Duke and Florida State for first in the conference. Last time the Pack came to Chapel Hill, the Heels won big. Harrison Barnes led the Heels with 25 points. Nice shot there. And John Henson added 16 points and 16 rebounds. Roy Williams and the Heels will look to win their 11th straight against State and continue their perfect season at home. The Heels will be down a man after Dexter Strickland's season-ending knee injury. There you see how serious it was right there, a torn ACL. Ouch. Reggie Bullock is likely to move into the starting lineup. The Heels will miss Strickland on defense, but Bullock's three-point shooting, here he is with a tray off the assist from Kendall Marshall, could add an extra dimension to the starting lineup. Bullock will have to shoot a lot better to match Strickland's 57% from the field, which leads the team. Point guard Kendall Marshall says the loss of Strickland could have a positive impact, much like the departure of Larry Drew last season.
It's almost like deja vu. You know, last year we took a bad loss. We started playing well, lost a player, and we had to figure it out from there.
Well, maybe the Tar Heels haven't quite lived up to early season expectations, but another team just down the road is exceeding theirs. And we're not talking about that other team. We're talking about the Chapel Hill High School Tigers. They're undefeated, and they've stayed that way due in large part to the efforts of their do-it-all point guard, Denzel Ingram.
Senior Denzel Ingram is one of the top scorers in North Carolina high school basketball, averaging just less than 25 points per game. But DI, as he's called, says that's never been his primary focus.
I've always been a pass-first point guard. I want to get everybody involved first. That's my job.
Ingram's unselfishness is paying off for the Tigers, who are 19-0 this season. His coaches say everything starts with DI's command of the floor.
He is the playmaker. He is unselfish enough that if he sees a teammate has a better opportunity, he's going to get them the ball. But he also understands that there's a time and place where I have to take the shot, and he's willing to do that.
The undefeated record has led to a lot of attention from fans and the media, and Coach Perkins admits that's been hard to manage.
Obviously, they have the internet, so, they obviously go on and like to read, what people are saying about them. But I think the maturity, and of course with DI's leadership, that's really been helpful because they've handled it really well.
But Ingram's influence on the team isn't limited to just his teammates.
DI also has our trust. I'll sit down with DI and say, hey, what do you think about this? Do you think this will work? We really value his input.
That trust stems from his ability to make smart decisions on the court, a quality he attributes to his idol, another North Carolina product and a rival UNC fans may remember.
Definitely Chris Paul, about the same size. You know, people say I look like him, of course. I mean, I've always watched him at Wake Forest. I've just studied this game.
As far as his goals are concerned, he says he wants a state championship and to be the leading scorer in Chapel Hill High School history. If he continues following in Paul's footsteps, he's bound to get there.
Ingram is only 5'10", and he's not a prospect for UNC, but he has drawn interest from Cincinnati, Western Kentucky, UNC-Charlotte, and Appalachian State, among others. And guys, remember, if you're headed out to the basketball game tomorrow, remember to bring an extra $1 to donate to UNC Dance Marathon.
All right, Andy, thank you for that. Coming up, we'll let you know about a musical this weekend you might be interested in.
And it has a box office twist. That's next.
If you have a story idea, call Carolina Week at 919-843-8292 or email us at carolinaweek@unc.edu. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNC-CH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina 27599. Be sure to check out Carolina Week and Carolina Connection online at carolinaweek.org.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
I remember how much you said you liked wine.
Oh.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you.
Looking for something to do over the weekend? If you like box office smashes, Avatar, and Titanic, then you're guaranteed to get a kick out of this play. The UNC Proper players are putting on Avatar Titanic, the musical, this weekend in the Haynes Art Center. It's part of an annual production called Broadway Melodies. The skits are all written, directed, and performed by Carolina students. Shows are at 8 every night, Friday through Tuesday, with a 2 o'clock matinee on Sunday. And we're going to send it back over to Tom Miners for the 5-day forecast. Tom, take it away.
Great. Well, basically, we need to highlight a few things. The first thing is that we're experiencing a lot more mild weather, and that's kind of a little bit more warmer than normal for this month of January. As you can see, this week, the temperatures on Thursday and Friday will be up into the 60s, but then later into the weekend and to Monday, we're finally going to get some more sunshine into play. That rain will be the last rain we see for about a week or so, and temperatures will start to cool off and get a little bit closer to normal, especially closer to Monday when we'll see a high of 55. Another thing, that weather that's going to be coming Thursday and Friday is not going to be severe. We should just see about a 1/4 inch to about a 1/2 inch of rain. There won't be high winds, but we can expect that moisture to linger on into Friday afternoon, and then we'll clear out Friday night into Saturday and Sunday and Monday. That's about it. Other than that, I really think that most of the weather that we're going to see as far as the winter weather is concerned, we're going to see a little bit warmer temperatures stay along longer. We won't see much winter weather rest of this month, but possibly into February we can see things start to ramp up a little bit.
I'm not complaining about the warm temperatures, Tom. All right, thank you. Well, a little preview of what's coming up. You know, tonight we brought you some of the tuition increase stuff, but we will have much more details on that as that comes along in February.
We will. We took a little look at Teach for America today, and next week we'll take a look at Teach for China, which I didn't even know existed until I talked with a very interesting teacher.
All that's coming up on Carolina Week, but that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks for watching.
Good night.